Good morning, YouTubes. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to part 5. What on earth was that? Something falling down. Part 5 of the LC rebuild, where we have a motor that's together. We have electrics that work. It's starting to look like a motorcycle. Obviously, we've got the brakes to do. Had some parts arrive. Taco cable, need that before the carbs go on, because otherwise it's a pain in the arse to get that in. Those of you that know will know. Brake pistons and seal kit for both calipers, and a brake master cylinder rebuild kit, because obviously it's been dormant for 20 odd years. We're not going to mess around with what is there. New throttle tube, because obviously the old one is knackered. Now that's quite a bit longer. I don't know whether the whole end is smashed off and missing, but obviously once I've got that bolted up, I'll compare the length of the grip, and if need be I'll trim the end off. But today's job, what I think I'm going to do is get the water pump back in the cases, new seal, new bearing if it needs it. I'll check that bearing. If the bearing's no good, down to bearing services, which aren't, well, Kent Bearings, which is 5 minutes from me, grab a bearing and snap that cover back on. Now I'm not going to put it on with a gasket. I'm literally just going to pop it on as is. I think there might be, is there some remnants of gasket? No, there isn't. I cleaned it off, didn't I, when I did the cases? But I'm going to put it on just basically so I can kick it over, because what I'd like to do is kick it over and see if we've got a spark, because that's the one thing we don't know if we've got. Once I've done that, I might start on the carburetors, which is yet another job that is going to take a while. So join me on this journey, and as usual, if you've got any tips or hints, let's call them tips. So that's the train. If you've got any tips or hints, chuck them down the bottom, because every day's a school day. We can all learn from each other, and let's see how we get on. Cheers. A little bit of progress. Water pump's in. Obviously the case is on, you can see that. Kickstart is on, so obviously we can see the motor turns over. Lovely. I bet that fisheye lens made my leg look really weird then. Battery, I put an old battery in. Gaffer tape, as we know. Does it move? No. WD-40. Does it move and shouldn't move? Yes. Duct tape, something like that anyway. So what I'm going to do, what I already have done, is check for spark. Let me go grab a plug again. I've got some brand new plugs out the drawer, and unfortunately ignition is on, kill switch is on run. Hopefully you can see down there. We do not have a spark, so back to the drawing board. I mean, that is the problem when you sort of inherit a bike, if you like, that someone else has put together. You don't know what has been done and where it is, you know, sort of had issues. And obviously it was rebuilt a long time ago, so anything could have happened. You know, the wiring could have hardened, corroded, snapped, whatever. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bolt another earth onto the motor direct to the battery, because the frame's been powder coated, just in case we haven't got a good earth on the motor. So that's my first port of call, because that might answer it straight away, in which case I'll put an engine mount out, and I'll check the earths on the battery, which should be good, because obviously we've got a lot of electrics, and then see if that gives us a spark. If it doesn't, then I'm going to start chasing wiring, which is it's not the thing I hate most. The thing I hate most is cleaning, as you'd have heard when you listen to my dulcet tones on the first video. But it's the second thing that I hate. So let's chuck an earth on and see if that improves matters. Electrics update. I've literally unplugged, cleaned and put back together every single connector that I can find. And yes, if you're thinking it, I did check the kill switch. That was the very first thing I did, and the kill switch is operating fine. I even unplugged it and retested, still no spark. So pull the battery back out, and I've been through every single connection. I'm cleaning them all up at the moment, making sure they're all good, and I'll then get the meter out and I'll test continuity either side of each plug to make sure that power is going through them, and then we'll give it another go. Obviously I've cleaned all these up as well. That's the CDI leads there. Whether I'll do that today or not, I don't know, because I'm getting a bit not knackered but a bit frazzled. I hate electrics, and this has been hours. It doesn't seem it because obviously you press start and stop and you guys get to see you know what's happened seconds later, but it has been a long time. I might, you know what I'm like, I normally go right, that's it, and then I go, oh fuck it, and I'll start chucking it together. So let's see where we go. You may find out in a second, you may not. Obviously I carried on, didn't I? So I just thought I'd give a quick example. So I pulled the plug caps off to check the secondary winding resistance of the coil, 3.47, and we should have 3.5 plus or minus 20% at 20 degrees. It's definitely not 20 degrees today, so I'm happy with that. And obviously I've worked through the other readings for pickups and what have you, and everything is in spec, everything checks. So there's obviously a short somewhere. Now it's going to be a case of testing continuity sort of front to back and all over the place and see how we get on. But well, I say we're getting there, we are getting there, because every little bit I check and clean is a little bit less that could be at fault. So let's crack on. Right, update time. Thought I'd move round to the CDI and have a good look at those. So oil tank out. What I did find was the black and yellow, or the black with the yellow tracer and the black, were plugged in the wrong way round on the CDI. Obviously that's not going to help. I've not looked, obviously the black is an earth. I've not looked to see what the black with yellow tracer is in the wiring diagram. So I'm going to clean all those up, have a quick look at the book, the Magic Haynes book, and see what it says. But I'm hoping that that was the issue. If it was, then it just means the electrics have all been cleaned. Hey, c'est la vie. Remember what I said about when you've not put it together and you have to start hunting? That's a good example why. Oh, and another thing, a bugbear of mine, if ever you're putting a bike together, cut your cable ties off flush, because whenever the next person goes to reach under for electrics, those edges of cable ties are like little razor blades, as my hands under these gloves will testify. So just get a Stanley blade and just slice that off nice and flush. Do everyone a favour. So let's crack on. Let's get those cleaned, get them wired up, check continuity between each end of each plug, and then we'll see what we've got. Happy days, potentially happy days. Right, I know it's dark, but potentially I think we're good to go. So, camera's on a tripod. Just gonna shut the door. And hopefully you lucky people might see a spark. So ignition on. I better go get a plug. That would help, wouldn't it? It's a bit dark. Right, ignition on. Let's earth that on the head. Ah, you bastard! Yeah, we definitely got a spark, and the problem is the other HT lead hasn't got a cap on it. it's just hanging loose. It's hanging nice and loose. There you go. See that? Beautifully. Beautiful. Yeah, it's hanging loose because the plug cap, let me open the door, get some light in. Bear with me. As you know, my super professional filming as usual. Yeah, the plug cap on the other side, the spring clip is missing to retain the plug, so I've just taken it off, and obviously you can just, as you know, put the coil lead straight to it. So you know what I'm going to do now, don't you? I'm going to find some plugs. I'm going to try and find an old cap. I'm going to spray a bit of carb cleaner in the inlet, and we'll give it a kick. Let's see what happens, shall we? We're on. Plugs are in. They're the original B9 EVs. They cleaned up okay. I'll put the plug cap back on, put a twist in the HT lead so it is actually holding it tight. But alright, look, I know this isn't the greatest idea in the world. Well, I say greatest idea, we've all done it, so let's see if we get anything, shall we? Foot peg. Hey! Happy days, people. That'll do me. I'm happy with that. Right then, I'm going to call it a day at that. Clean the workshop up. Not that it's too mucky today, because obviously it's been electrics day. But I'm going to clean the workshop up and have a well-deserved cup of tea. See you, it won't be tomorrow, but it will be probably in a few days time when I will start the carbs, and then we'll see what we got. Cheers all. Sometimes it's a good day. See you soon. Morning all, welcome back to part 5. Not much has changed actually. The last couple of days I've been working, you know, pay the bills and all that sort of stuff. I think I put the throttle tube on just lightly, and then marked up when I need to trim it because it's a little bit long. But before I trim it, I'm going to make sure that the throttle cable fits, because obviously it's a power valve cable, and it should fit because it's obviously, you know, LC wires and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to do that just to check. What else has turned up? Oil pump blanking plate, that's arrived, so I'm going to fit that because they're only cheap. They're nicely made actually, off eBay. I can't remember who the seller was, but nicely made. Comes with a gasket and a couple of bolts, and that means that the cover can go on while the oil pump is away being rebuilt. And a magnetic sump plug, purely because, well, the standard one was a bit ropey, and there might well be a bit of muck and crap that comes out of that motor after a few years. So the idea is going to be run it around for a while. Obviously we need to run the top end in anyway, and to be honest with you, run pretty much everything else inside the motor, because there is going to be a few bits of rust and crap that I couldn't get off that's going to come out. So magnetic sump plug underneath is going to hopefully pick up a fair bit of the debris, and then we'll dump the oil, you know, 50 miles, 100 miles, whatever, we'll dump the oil out, refill it with fresh, and any of the crap that's on the clutch plates, that can come off as well. One thing I do need to do is the tie bars under the motor. Those of you that know LCs, they need to cut the tie bars on there that bolt to the bottom. They're in a box over there and they are manky, they need some paint, so I'll try and get that done. I will get onto the carbs, and I keep saying I'm going to do the carbs, I will get onto them. But today's job, I think the first thing I'm going to do, while it's a bright sunny day, is I'm going to try and clean these exhaust pipes. I don't know if you can see how bad they actually are. It rained the other day and the rain came through the door and it got the pipe wet, so I gave it a rub with some green Scotch-Brite pad. It didn't do an awful lot, if I'm honest. I think they need to take, I mean, look at that rust. That is actually through the chrome plating. But let's give them a go and let's see if we can make these a bit better, because they really are in pretty poor condition. But all we can do is try. Let's see what result we get. Back in a bit. Now that was a lot of work, but I don't know if you'll agree, they've not come up too bad. Obviously where the rust had eaten in on the headers, they took a lot of scrubbing with a brass brush, an awful lot of scrubbing, so I'm not quite sure how much of the coating has been lost. So obviously Simon's going to have to keep an eye on those and look after them. But, and obviously the gravel rash or the road rash on this side just cleared the rust out of it, and on the end of the can there. But yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm chuffed with those, because I've got to say I didn't think they were going to be salvageable, but I like saving stuff, and although it was an awful lot of work and my bogies were black, you all know what that means, don't you, with the old wire brush. Yeah, I'm happy with those. That was one of the bits that I was worried about, because pipes are really fucking expensive. You know, we're creeping towards 4 figures for a set of pipes, because they're not really mass produced anymore. They're all handmade in small batches. So I'm pleased. Next job's going to be the tie bars, because I don't want to fit the pipes before the tie bars, because the pipes will get in the way. So let's give the tie bars a clean, get them fitted, get the pipes on. I don't know if that's going to be today, because I'm knackered. You'll find out soon though. Here we go. Pipes are on. What do you reckon? I'm really pleased with them, because I did not think that they would come up anything like this. They're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but you know what, they're not bad. I mean, obviously we've still got that bit of gravel rash down the side there, but it's an LC, isn't it? If it didn't have a little mark on it here and there from a crash, then it wouldn't be a proper LC. But I think they're looking pretty good. Now, I've not fitted the spring mounts currently. I'm going to see if I need to use them actually, because I think those pipes are going to be held in quite tightly, because they do have a collar on anyway. The other thing I've just checked is the air filter before I even tried to start it, and yeah, you guessed it, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to lift that out. I might just get the vacuum and vacuum the remains of that out, because that is disintegrating. So that was one thing to do before I started the bike. I popped the clutch cover on properly with a gasket, so I can fill that with oil now. Water pumps all in, and the oil pump blanking plate is in. So I can get a rad on it, fill it full of coolant, fill it full of oil, rebuild the carbs, chuck a new air filter in. I mean, obviously that's not needed just for the initial start, and see where we go. So we're getting there. Right, the next part, I'm definitely going to be rebuilding the carbs. I know I've said that for quite a while now, but the carbs are definitely getting built. So join me soon, and then I might do a little time lapse, but it's going to take a while, so potentially not. You'll find out in a second. It's carb day, finally. I'm filming it on my phone because it's going to give better zoom to the condition of of what we have here. The good news is I do have another set of carbs, which apparently I gave to Simon quite a long time ago. I don't remember it. I used to have lots of bits kicking around, but it's highly likely. So we're going to see what we've got and see what we can salvage and make a pair of carbs out of these two pairs of carbs. I might try and put the camera on time lapse while I'm putting stuff apart. Whether it'll be interesting or not, I don't know. Whether it makes it to the final cut, I don't know. Pink Floyd album as well, by the way. I'm sure you know that. So let's get the camera set up, see what today brings. First carb apart, and obviously this is one of the ones that I gave to Simon, and initial inspection is pretty good. He's obviously been drained down before I did, so everything in there is looking quite good. Obviously I'm going to check out the needle valves and all that sort of stuff, emulsion tube, the air jet, main jet, air screw, all that sort of stuff. Make sure they're all good. Blow through all the passages with some carb cleaner, give the body a good clean. But this is looking alright. Obviously make sure that the oil feed is clear as well. But so far so good. What I'm going to do is clean this and rebuild this one, and then move on to the next one, and hopefully that box of scrap won't be needed. There might be a couple of bits in there that I do need to drag out, but fingers crossed. And obviously what I need to do is compare the jetting. I might see if I can pinch that choke off, because it looks like the choke on the other one's broken. I don't know why these were stripped down, to be fair, but yeah, they could be good for someone at some point, but they're going to need a lot of work. So as luck would have it, let's crack on with these and see if we can make a good pair of carbs. All I need to do is check the main jet sizes, make sure everything is jetted correctly before it all goes back together, and then we might have a runner. Right, that's one carb rebuilt. It's not super shiny, but you know what, that's alright compared with how they were. Simon got some nice Allen keys, or Allen bolts to say, for the float poles, so they've gone in. Float height set. The air screw is set to factory. Obviously the jets are all as is. Everything was blown through with carb cleaner, and everything is clear. Now I know sometimes you can have problems with the drillings behind the ball bearings, and sometimes they need drilling out and cleaning and then replugging, but we're not going to know till we get these on and we get them running. So then, one more carb to do, and then let's get them on the bike. Carbs are rebuilt and they're all looking good. Everything's clear, all the jets are clear, the oil feed's clear, etc, etc. The only problem with this one, the choke doesn't bloody work. It's on a, I think it's on a cable on these carbs, so cable tied to the rescue. Now let's be a bit of a manual choke for that. But those of you that have ever rebuilt LCs that have been sat for a long time, 20 years, will probably know that these rubbers are now rock hard. I should have thought about it really, because I had to warm them to get the balancer pipe in, which was a couple of videos ago maybe. So, hot air gun, bit of grease, carburetors, and cue lots and lots of swearing and sweating for the next however long it takes me. So the next clip you will either see miraculously a pair of carburetors in that hole, or you won't. Let's find out. Here we go. We've got a pair of carburetors. Now actually, I'll be honest, it was a bit of a piece of piss, because once the rubbers, I've got a bit of muck on that lens, that's better. Once the rubbers had got a bit of heat in them, became a bit more pliable, they actually pushed in pretty straightforward. So they're in. I've got all the vent pipes and the link pipe for the choke and everything connected. Throttle slides are in there. Lovely. Obviously can't connect the oil pump yet because we don't have a working oil pump. So what I'm going to do is get some tube, blank off the oil feed pipes, because otherwise obviously we're going to have a massive air leak. And then I'm going to put some fuel in my little remote, fill the carbs up and see what happens. Should I do that now? It's getting a bit late, but solid, let's give it a go. Right then, carbs are on. I've filled them with fuel, bit of two-stroke mix from a funnel, so the float bowl should be full. There's no oil, there's no fuel underneath it. So let's go for a genuine first start, shall we? Let's see what happens. Well, I would say that was a success. Poor thing, been lying dormant for 20 odd years in the damp, but it looks like we've rescued it. So I'm really pleased about that. Do you know what, the first couple of kicks I thought, it's not going to go, is it? And then happy days. A little bit of a cough. Obviously it's going to need warming up and setting up. Can't do that without a rad. So next thing to do, get the rad painted and cleaned up, straighten the fins out, get it bolted on, get some coolant in there, make a better fuel tank, and see if we can run it up and get a few heat cycles through the motor. Happy days everyone, today was a good day. Catch you soon.